From inside Lester Burnham's fantasy, it's the IGN Digigods. Now, please welcome two men who sued each other for $600 million, Wade Major and Mark Kaiser.
Wow. Corey, to whom do we owe this week's opening?
That was written by Jason Kroons. We think it rhymes with prunes.
Yeah, we weren't sure how that. Jason, tell us if Corey massacred your name's pronunciation. Not my fault, not Mark's. Mark, what are you doing?
I'm emailing a girl on JDate.
Of course,
I really am, by the way.
That's
well, because
wonderful.
you were taking forever with something else,
I'm
and I
sorry.
just started emailing a girl.
Okay, give me a cookie. Get it out of the way.
Hang on a second.
Oh, hell.
No, it's a story.
Okay.
Everything's a story.
Yeah, I know.
Because we're a podcast, we have to tell stories.
Sure we do.
Not just talk about all the Death Wish sequels.
Okay.
Which we'll talk about later. and Mel Brooks' last decent comedy, which we'll talk about later.
Yeah.
So, I stayed in last night.
You stayed in.
And here's the reason why I stayed in. Because I made these cookies, and I know whenever I make cookies, I have to clear the decks because I eat so much leftover batter and so much leftover ganache and so much leftover whatever that I wanted making myself sick like a 13-year-old coming home from Halloween. So I make these cookies, and I feel like crap.
Yeah.
Because I just ate nothing but like leftover goopy chocolate because, you know, you always have leftover something.
Is this the story now?
Yes. We are now officially in the story.
We're in the story. I'm just making sure.
Yes.
Because it didn't feel like a story.
What? It feels like a story.
Okay.
Sure it does. Okay. So I turn on the Netflix because kids love the Netflix.
Sure.
And guess what I find on Netflix, which is not on DVD, and we've talked about this. And I don't know if it's new to Netflix or not, but they had it on Netflix streaming.
I don't know.
What's the one? Oh, there's like a lot of them.
Yeah. What's the one movie that's missing from DVD? Oh, my goodness. That would have to be Aunt Betsy's Wild Brick Oven Farm.
What is
I don't know. Whatever.
Wild Brick Oven Farm?
Yeah.
I love that movie. Okay. What is the one Steven Soderbergh film not on DVD? Go.
Kafka.
That's true. What's the other one?
King of the Hill.
King of the Hill. So get this. I see King of the Hill.
The one. What's the other one?
I like Kafka.
Of course there are two. And everyone harasses him about it because he made them back to back. So
well,
anyway.
for some reason, King of the Hill, not on DVD, but King of the Hill on Netflix streaming. I didn't realize, like, oh my God, this is it. This is my Saturday night because I'm lame.
It's a great movie.
A, I'm sick because I'm filled with chocolate. And B, I can't believe that King of the Hill's on DVD. Streaming totally holds up, terrific film. But Wade,
yes,
there is, because I haven't seen the film in years. There is somebody in this film that I who has since become the most hated actress in Hollywood, and she is in this film playing one of Jesse Bradford's elementary school friends. We are talking about, and you know what? I saw her in a scene. I'm like, oh my God, is that her? Because I'm putting together the how old is she now? Could she have been a 12-year-old back in '93?
Yeah, I mean...
but you know what? It just pains me to even look her up because she's so horrible.
Who she is? Who it is?
Katherine Heigl.
Oh, that's right. She is in that. That's right.
She plays the rich kid who invites Jesse Bradford to her parents' home.
Yeah.
So I'm watching the film going, there's Katherine Heigl in the only decent film she's ever been in, although I did like the Apatow thing. Yeah. But this is a little beyond the Apatow thing. So if anyone says to you that Katherine Heigl has never done a good film, you can say, no.
King of the Hill.
She did like a legitimately terrific film.
Yeah.
King
I
of
hear
the
you.
Hill.
All right.
Now that's only part of the story.
Yes.
The other part is that the results of the evening was cookies.
Okay.
Now here's the thing, Wade.
Katherine Heigl inspired you to make cookies?
No. No. The cookies inspired me to stay home because it made myself sick.
Yeah.
Eating sugar all day, which made me stream King of the Hill.
Just give me one. Let's get it out of the way.
Now, I bought this Martha Stewart book.
Oh, dear.
And I figured I'll try one more Martha Stewart cookie recipe because all these Martha Stewart cookie recipes are lame. They're for like fat Midwestern housewives going to their kids' birthday parties, like that much sugar. Okay. This one actually does not have a lot of sugar in it. It just happens to not have a lot of sugar in it.
Here we go.
I'm going to give you
Thank you.
this one.
Oh, that's lovely.
Now, why don't you explain to the good folks what it looks like? It looks like a chocolate-covered Oreo.
It really does. It looks
It
like
does.
a chocolate.
Yeah, well, that's the idea.
Sorry. All right.
I'll take another one for myself. I'll put the rest away. Now, I don't really like this cookie, but you know what? Maybe you like it.
It's cookie-like and minty.
Oh, it's minty. Oh, good.
Yeah.
Because the recipe called for only 3/4 of a teaspoon of peppermint extract, but I put in a teaspoon and a half because I felt like it wasn't enough.
Yeah.
So what do you think?
It's nice. It's nice. May I have some more water, please?
Yes. By the way, it is 3 degrees cooler than hell right now.
This is what I love about Southern California this time of year. It's cool, relaxing. The roads are wide open. Just a few people in from out of town, but the people who are in from out of town are really, really nice and very polite on the roads. I say this facetiously because this truly is the most hellacious time. And I'm just curious, everybody else who listens to this podcast who lives in North America, why is this entire continent just melting right now? This is insane. I mean, like Southern California is this is like Dubai, and if you look at the weather maps, the entire continent of North America, from southern Mexico all the way up to Saskatchewan and Alaska and the friggin' tundra, it's like 85, 90, 100 degrees. It's ridiculous. This is like Saudi Arabia all of a sudden. What's going on?
Well,
the whole continent.
Well, I haven't gone out this weekend because I've been like a dateless wonder, and I got sick Saturday night eating leftover chocolate. So I have both my air conditioners going. So to me, it's nice and frosty. So I have no concept of how hot it is outside. So this morning, about an hour ago, actually when you came over, I was just saying goodbye to a contractor. I might have some work done in my place. Saying goodbye to a contractor. And before that, we had gone up on the roof of my condo building to look at something. And at that moment, I finally realized how freaking hot it is. I mean, it is unbelievably god-awful hot. You need a napkin, don't you?
Thank you.
Don't stop the recording.
Oh,
I cannot believe how hot it is. And by the way, I find the heat miserable.
It's awful.
I'm not a hot weather person. Luckily, it's not that humid. It is just hot, but it is effing hot. Maybe it's hot where you are. You know what? If it's hot where you are, tell us at gods@digigods.com.
honestly, it's unbelievable. All right, so we have a Vox box we'll do later in the show. Might even get to some listener mail stuff. Mark's getting me a napkin because I have chocolate all over my fingers now. So, some British stuff just to start off. An interesting little 3-disc set from BFS is called At Home with the Georgians. And this is one of those British television deals from like the late 90s where you have some kind of professorial person, some British expert in something, who takes you on a tour of history, costumes, clothing, manners, you name it. In this case, it is Professor Amanda Vickery. How's that for a British name? And all it is really kind of a tour of the Georgian era, which would be the 18th century. And it's just kind of a nice walk through, I don't know, like a television theme park of all of the wonderful things that constituted the Georgian era. It's called At Home with the Georgians, and it's fine. It's very BBC, very British, very appropriate to the Olympics, which are ending today. And then we also have the Forsyte Saga collection from Acorn, 5 discs. The whole Forsyte Saga, THTE, all however you want to spell it. This is really good stuff. This is basically going to get a little bit of traction just because of, geez, you are typing like a lunatic.
Well, you know what, this girl, I called this girl on JDate, right?
Yeah.
By the way, this is very exciting stuff.
Oh, dear.
And so she didn't call me back. So I'm like, all right, just another flaky internet girl.
Sure.
She just emailed me after like 5 days after actually probably 6 days after I called her. She emails me back. And it's like, in the time it took you to email me back on JDate, you could have returned my call. So in the email, she says, I had a very intense week, and I'll tell you why I didn't call you back when we talk. I'm leaving for New York tomorrow, and I'll call you while I'm there or when I return.
Okay.
And I'm emailing him back, and I'm saying, all right, look, I'm not saying this, but the spirit of the email is,
sure,
ball's in your court. I can chase after you. I called you. I put it out there. You say you'll call me back.
All right.
Let's see if you're a flaky internet girl or you are true to your word.
Good for you.
That's what I am typing.
There you go.
I am madly typing. Not typing madly, madly typing.
Well, the Forsyte Sagas from 2002 and 3, two different series, and, two seasons. They call them series in the UK, of course. And it's basically the story of a family across many, many years from the late Victorian era into the 1920s. Has a certain kind of early precursor feel to Downton Abbey. And some great performances here. Rupert Graves is always great. Ian Grufford is always great. A lot of really good performances here. So, not certainly Downton Abbey by any stretch of the imagination, but it's quite good and very enjoyable. And then we also have Series 3 of Garrow's Law, which has a very respectable following as well. I have to say I'm not one of the biggest fans of this thing. I like Rupert Graves in this as well. He's a little older, a little more grizzled, but Rupert Graves has had an interesting career. He never really took off like he should have. You know that?
Rupert Graves?
Yeah,
I like him.
Well, this show, of course, is all about the great barrister William Garrow, who's played by Andrew Buchan. It's 18th century period show all about the law. It's like Law and Order in the 18th century kind of. And then lastly, we have a remarkable story done in above average fashion, I would say. It's called The Sinking of the Laconia, and I was not familiar with this story. This is a World War II era story, and there, of course, if you've been watching the Olympics, you've been watching. They resurrect a lot of these stories as little interludes during the Olympics to tell you about British history, all kinds of stuff that nobody ever had any idea about. Anyway, this is about an event in 1942 when a U-boat torpedoed the RMS Laconia, and which was a passenger ship. So it's a rousing story. It's just done in very British television fashion, which can be very high quality. In this case, it's not mind-boggling. It's very well done, but somehow emotionally, I just felt like I was watching. It had a Winds of War kind of feel to it in some respects. Brian Cox is very, very good in it, but he's good in everything.
Brian Cox is in The Campaign, which, by the way, is funny.
Thank you. Good to know. I skipped it.
Well, Brian Cox, The Campaign does not seem like a very Brian Coxian film, but he is in it, and he is funny in it because the film is funny. It's not a great political satire by any stretch of the imagination, but it's funny.
Well,
made me laugh.
Yeah, so
something makes you laugh, makes you laugh. What can I say?
All right, so we'll blow through some regular television and then get into movies. And boy, do we have some interesting movies this week. Really good movies. Not new movies per se, but a lot of catalog stuff. Really interesting catalog stuff.
Oh, Wade.
So, Children's Hospital, the complete third season. We've talked about this before. It's Adult Swim. A lot of you love it. I kind of don't get it, but there it is. It's still on, and there's another season. The DVD set includes web promos, outtakes, unaired scenes, bloopers, and still feels kind of creepy to me. Know what I'm saying?
Yes, I do.
And then Grimm Season 1 on Blu-ray. I think this is an absolutely idiotic show, but it is starting again, and they, of course, have to get that last season out there. There's way too much CGI on television these days. I will say this. I find this less offensive than that Once Upon a Time, which just confuses the daylights out of me, because if you blink while you're watching that show, you lose track of what's in the fantasy land and what's in reality and who's who and who's doubling what and so forth. Anyway, this is the whole idea here is to sort of bring the world of Grimm's fairy tales into a modern-day environment and turn it into a kind of a Buffy the Vampire Slayer type show. And 22 episodes, the whole idea of these Grimms, which are, demon creatures, mythical demon creatures that live in the real world, I don't know. It's just still, all of this stuff still feels like we're just taking the Night Stalker and just refashioning it.
Well, it's a new thing.
It still feels like it fits that template. It's just all Night Stalkery.
Well, because everything sort of cycles in and out of fashion.
Yeah.
With vampires and now with zombies.
And I don't like the CGI on this show. It feels really, really cheesy and hasty, and it doesn't feel like it's not good. But people like it, so who am I to say? Anyway, big fat Blu-ray set, looks fabulous, comes with ultraviolet, and there's also an interactive Grimm guide as part of the Blu-ray. Has some collectible cards. Go to town. What do you want?
Wait, I'm very surprised that CBS keeps releasing the Gunsmoke DVD.
Oh, it's going to go on until we're like 75.
Hang on. Don't stop the recording.
We're such a professional show.
If you want us to be more professional, email us at gots@digigods.com. Maybe it'll happen.
Yeah, Gunsmoke. What season is that
This
now?
is season 6, volume 1. You know,
Yes.
the thing is that because they're, and you know, Wade and I complain about this all the time. But with Gunsmoke, it's like there's like 20 seasons of Gunsmoke. So now they're going to literally make 20 seasons of Gunsmoke into 40 DVD releases.
Yeah, which seem
If
to
they
come
release them all in volumes per season.
and they're coming out on average about 2 per year. So that's like 20 years it's going to take. I don't know. Somebody has to have sort of thought this through, don't you think?
Someone has to have said, you know what? There's 20 seasons. If we release 2
put the 3, carry the 5
in 40 years, this will be.
That means that let's see. So long after DVD is obsolete and people are using them for coasters and for clay pigeons, we will still be releasing seasons of Gunsmoke.
That is correct.
Just come on, just release the whole series, one box set. Just do it.
I don't understand. But anyway, this is one of the better seasons from what I remember. This had Dennis Weaver in it, and that's cool. And, obviously James Arnett's still there. Mm-hmm. And, look, I'm surprised they're even releasing this at all.
Yeah.
But it is an historically significant show, and there were lots of them. So they're going for it. Season 6, there are no extras on this. Don't expect any extras on these.
No.
Ever.
Never. No, because nobody's alive anymore. They just aren't. They're gone. We've got a thing here called Strike Back, Season 1. This is a Cinemax series, and I am not familiar with this because I didn't even realize Cinemax was still in business. I know. Cinemax is still around. Can you believe that?
They are still around.
It's so weird. Cinemax used to be where kind of sleazy, low-budget, soft-core...
Red Shoe Diaries.
Wasn't Red Shoe
Diaries on Cinemax?
Yeah, all those little nudie things. It's like Cinemax was the channel where if you were a subscriber and you turned it on at about 11 or 12 at night, around midnight, you were bound to see Shannon Tweed in something naked.
Is it some Zalman King thing?
Some Zalman King thing. If even that, that's like very low, not even that high quality. It'd be like some playmate would be showering and some third-rate, really bad actor would be like looking through the window, and that's the plot of the movie. It's all 85 minutes of it, just peeping Tom of some kind. But anyway, this is an action series about 2 guys from a top secret government spy organization known as Section 20, and one of them's British, one of them's U.S. And it's just a really high octane action series. It's I wouldn't say it's great. It's more well done than it is well written. But it's got some good actors in it, and it may have a future. It's a pretty whopping Blu-ray set, and the Blu-ray transfer is really nice. I mean, it's very, very well done. So even if you have problems with the execution of the show, it looks great, and the sound is it's a pretty well mixed show. It's really resonant, and surround is a nice effect. So
kind of like Parenthood.
Parenthood. The series. Yes. Yeah, a lot of action in that. High octane gunfire.
It's those
explosions.
Those kids' birthday parties on this show are really just intense. I'm not into the show because I'm not a parent, but people seem to like it. I don't know how this thing has managed 3 seasons, and it has a new season premiering soon. But people dig it. Yeah, I think they dig it in that kind of omnibus way where there's so many different...
in that vomitous way?
Omnibus way.
Oh, omnibus.
Where there's so many different stories, there's so many different people that you'll hit on something that resonates with you.
I like it in a vomitous way, actually.
I don't know that things could be liked in a vomitous way. I think they could maybe disliked in a vomitous way.
Okay.
Anyway, Craig T. Nelson is in it, and Bonnie Bedelia. Bonnie Bedelia is supposedly in the new Die Hard film.
Yeah.
Did you know that?
Mm-hmm.
Because Bonnie Bedelia played...
I know. She hasn't been in it since the first.
That's right. So that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Anyway, Lauren Graham is also in this, and Dax Shepard is also in this. So anyway, I'm not a big fan of the show. People seem to like it. This is a DVR show. This is not a buy the DVD show. I'm sorry.
I'm with you.
There's a couple special features in here, but whatever.
I love The Rookies, Mark. Love The Rookies. The Rookies was a great show. This is the 2nd season of The Rookies. featuring that fantastic, wonderful, absolutely incredibly adorable Kate Jackson before she went on to Charlie's Angels. This was also produced by Aaron Spelling. This was one of his early big TV hits when he was producing stuff with Leonard Goldberg. Remember, that was the era when they did The Rookies and Starsky and Hutch and Love Boat and Fantasy Island.
I used to love those shows. I was not a big Fantasy Island guy, but I loved all the other ones.
They were the kings of TV in that part of the 70s. It was just amazing. Anyway, this is basically about rookies in the Southern California Police Department. I don't know why they didn't just call it the LAPD. Was it because they didn't want to confuse it with Adam 12 at the time?
Ooh, that could be it.
It could have been. Anyway,
not confuse it. They didn't want to make it seem like they were treading on the same.
I guess, but it was just silly. It was just silly. Anyway, it was clearly like Starsky and Hutch were members of the Metro Police Department. Come on, give me a break. You're all shooting in L.A. You're all LAPD.
But if you say Metro, it could be any city.
Yeah, when they're driving past the Dorothy Chandler Pavilion come on, give me a break. It was all L.A. We know that. So anyway, this is a really good show. A lot of really good writing on this show. I got to tell you, it annoyed me somewhat at a certain point when they syndicated this show. They did something that I've never seen done on any other show. In syndication, they took hour-long episodes and they cut them down to half hours so they could fit them into half-hour slots for syndication in various markets. And it was the worst thing ever. I mean, I remember I watched this show first run in 73, 74 when I was, just a young pup and really kind of just getting my sea legs as far as violent television. And
just learning to enjoy violent television.
Just learning to enjoy, seeing punks beat up and junkies and hookers really having their faces slammed into the pavement, and which is always good for a child to experience. And then suddenly in syndication, all these great shows are suddenly a half an hour, and the pacing is ridiculously off. I mean, it's amazing how elliptical it got. I just can't believe anybody even allowed that to happen at one point. But here we're back to the proper length. This is from Shout Factory via Sony, and you get the full 23 episodes from the second season, 73, 74, and they are great. Really, Michael Ontkean, just always forgot what a terrific actor he was. And George Stanford Brown, of course, always great, and Gerald S. O'Loughlin, and, of course, Kate Jackson. Really cool.
Oh, Wade, on DVD, 4 DVDs is Ghost Hunter Season 7, Part 1. This season, the series has lasted over 7 seasons.
I know.
That is very strange.
Very strange.
People like this show, I guess. It's probably cheap. It's on Sci-Fi Channel. It's probably a cheap show to license.
Yeah, whatever.
Why not? Anyway, it's about these two guys. One looks like Vic Mackey from
Vic Tayback?
No, Vic Mackey from The Shield.
Oh yeah.
It's like bald and looks all badass.
Vic Tayback was bald. Yeah.
Vic Tayback died.
I know.
How dare you make fun of him?
Anyway, he was Mel. He had Mel's Diner.
He did. He did.
He was also in A Piece of the Action.
God help us all. All right. So anyway, Ghost Hunters. Are these guys really hunting ghosts? I know a lot of people don't like the show because they're skeptical of what it is they do, but people seem to like it because it's basically fun and dramatic, and it's kind of all spooky and cool. Anyway, in this one, they visit Pennsylvania Insane Asylum and a hotel, and as long as these guys continue to get work, although I think they're plumbers during the day, but as long as they continue to get work at night, they will continue to be able to have a TV show. That's what I say. Although, this show never really kind of got any traction. Like, do you care about the Ghost Hunters?
Not really.
Like, does this show get any traction?
No.
People talk about this show?
No.
These guys, are they getting famous? Are they showing up on talk shows? Are they going anywhere?
I think if they
7 seasons of what? Of nothing?
No, but you know what? The same thing happened to the Ghostbusters. Same thing happened.
Ghostbusters 3, it's coming.
I know.
With that Bill Murray.
Oh, gee, that's a great idea.
Well, I think Dan Aykroyd's tired of waiting.
Well, just then don't do it. Do something else.
Well, it's Dan Aykroyd. Dan Aykroyd is in the campaign.
That's great.
Dan Aykroyd and John Lithgow play the
campaign managers,
Koch brothers, the Koch brothers,
really?
The right wing bankrolling people.
I just can't believe that's going to really make much money. Vegas, 3rd season, Volume 2. We love the Dantana driving his car into his living room. Very cool. And no extras here, just some promos, the original TV promos. But this is another Aaron Spelling hit from that fantastic 70s era. And I again wish they'd put the whole seasons out and not just do this Volume 1, Volume 2 stuff. It's still a real problem over there. You got to stop doing this there, Paramount. But maybe it's CBS. Somebody's fault between Paramount and CBS. But it's a terrific show. A lot of great cameos from Vegas personalities. A lot of great scenery from Vegas, and gotta love that '57 Thunderbird. It's just the coolest car in television history. No offense meant to Magnum's Ferrari or to the Miami Vice Ferrari or the Starsky and Hutch's Torino, but I still think that Thunderbird is the coolest thing ever.
Is the Thunderbird even cooler than the car from Knight Rider?
The car from Knight Rider was a Trans Am, and it's just lame.
What? It talked to you and everything.
Yeah. William Daniels talked to you.
And all that.
William Daniels talked to you.
Music.
No.
Dexter season 6. This thing premiered last October, and it's finally coming out on Blu-ray. I think this show's kind of losing its steam. I think people dug it for a while, and now I feel like it's kind of needs to be done already. Good cast, though. There's a lot of good people on this show. Edward James Olmos is on this show. Colin Hanks, who was on Stupid for Movies, our friend of Stupid for Movies, is on this season. Mos Def is introduced. I like Mos Def a lot. I think I don't know.
He's got a new name, by the way. He's not Mos Def anymore. He's something else.
Thank God. Can he just be his name?
No, it's not his name.
Dante Smith is his real name.
Yeah, but that's not his new name. Keep doing it. I'll tell you what his new name is. Hold on.
You gotta be kidding. Is it like Puff Diddy or something, or Puff Daddy? Will you please stop it? Anyway, I really would like this show to end now because I feel like it's peaked. It's pop culture influence and its water cooler ability is over. It needs to go away. But the 6th season is now available on Blu-ray, and you know what? If you like the other 5 seasons, you might as well get this one. Otherwise, I've lost interest in the show. Not that season 6 is particularly bad. Just I've kind of lost interest in it.
I think he's known as Yassine Bey now.
Oh, God.
Melrose.
Okay, Cat Stevens, whatever you say.
Melrose Place, the final season.
Okay, Cassius Clay.
Thank you. Melrose Place, the final season, volumes 1 and 2, both coming out at the same time. Finally, Paramount, CBS, they do it right this time. But why not put it in just one release? Why even have the separate volumes? This show is being released effectively to tell you how bad the more recent Melrose Place is by comparison, which is extraordinary because this was already bad by its own era. Another Aaron Spelling show from a different era of spelling, and really all this tells me is that Heather Locklear does not age. That's the greatest lesson that I get from watching this. Otherwise, it's just cheesy soap opera.
She ages. If you saw her now, if you saw her naked, you'd run screaming.
I doubt it.
Pamela Anderson too, you'd run screaming.
I
guarantee.
Yeah, probably
you'd
there.
run screaming.
Yeah, but not Heather Locklear.
Community season 3 is it's a controversial show because critics seem to like it. Audiences didn't like it that much. It definitely has that kind of wild, out there, culty sort of feel to it. Also, Chevy Chase hates the show so much he left horrible voicemail messages on the showrunner's answering machine, and that was hilarious. But season 3 is now out on DVD. A new season premieres in the fall. I find this show to be kind of funny. I can't say that I've watched every episode because I haven't, but it's got a bunch of special features which are uncensored, whatever that means. Deleted scenes are funny. Gag reel. You know what? It's too bad about Chevy Chase because Chevy Chase.
Yeah.
He's kind of become like a cranky, unlikable older fellow.
Yeah.
But Chevy Chase, in his heyday,
he was the man.
He was the man.
He was the man.
He was Fletch.
Yep.
He was in Caddyshack. He was awesome.
Real tomato ketchup ad?
He was the best.
I love Vacation.
Anyway, Joel McHale's in this too, and also Ken Jeong, who's so funny in the Hangover films. So this show actually is kind of funny, but I wish more people would watch it, only because I think TV needs more quirky cable quality stuff. At least shows that go to that cable length of quirkiness.
Yep.
So the fact that it's out there on a network, I think, is a good thing. It should be supported.
Totally.
So there's Community.
And a bunch of Lifetime movies are out in 2 different collections. There's one called Surviving High School, which includes 4 different Lifetime original movies about surviving high school. They include Odd Girl Out, Augusta Gone, The Perfect Teacher, and For One Night. You know what? All of these are just standard Lifetime kind of, cheesy, middle-aged housewife sitting alone at home looking for something to just kind of resurrect their high school fantasies or something. They're not all that good, not that impressive. But I guess for a certain audience, they'll fit the bill. More impressive, marginally, is the Jodi Picoult collection, or Picoult, or Picoult, or however you pronounce it, Picoult. Never read any of her novels, don't care to. But we got 3 films here based on her novels, Salem Falls, Plain Truth, and The Pact, which actually sort of work because they have some good casting in them. Salem Falls stars James Van Der Beek. That's by far the weakest. But you know what? Mariska Hargitay in The Plain Truth and Megan Mullally in The Pact, both terrific, really good actresses, stepping a little bit outside their TV personae to do these movies, and they really do elevate the material. So I'll say that Jodi Picoult collection... yeah, marginally recommended. Surviving high school, you can stay away.
Speaking of stay away from these two from the good folks at E1. Terrible. Juan of the Dead is a kind of a zombie.
Oh, I get it. Juan of the Dead.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
Juan, because it rhymes with Dawn.
It's awesome.
I get it. Juan.
Totally awesome. So Juan of the Dead is it's a zombie film, and it's kind of low budget, and it doesn't pretend it's anything but low budget, but it's it's supposed to be kind of funny and cheesy, and there is some political commentary there, a little weak, but there is some political subtext in there, like the zombies are dissidents, almost like it's the why am I talking about this? This movie's terrible.
Know. But I get it. It's Juan of the Dead because it sounds like Dawn of the Dead.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's there
great.
you go.
That's great.
Gives a crap. All right. Also is I'm just letting you know this exists because I would never recommend it. Girls Gone Dead.
Oh, I get it. It's like Girls Gone Wild, but Girls Gone Dead.
Yes. Well, here's the.
That's clever.
Let me tell you about the cast of Girls Gone Dead. Linnea Quigley.
Oh my gosh!
Linnea Quigley was
serious. Linnea Quigley's in this?
She was...
Scream Queen. The original Scream Queen.
She was a big deal in the 80s.
Oh, my gosh.
Ron Jeremy's in this.
Yeah, I don't know who that is.
And a few Howard Stern fans, Beetlejuice is in this. Beetlejuice is just a crazy-looking African-American guy, and he's on the Howard Stern show a lot. He's in this, too. And it's about a bunch of people who do something, and there's a bunch of something. I mean, come on. Do you really want me to talk about this?
Not really. It's Linnea Quigley. That's fascinating. She hasn't aged either. She looks fabulous. Or is that even Linnea Quigley on the box?
That is not Linnea Quigley on the box.
No?
No.
How old is she now?
Linnea Quigley?
Yeah.
Would you like me to find out?
Yeah, I'm just curious.
Find out. Take a guess.
Girls Gone Dead. I don't know, 50? Who knows? Just when you thought it was safe to go topless. Oh, my gosh.
Linnea Quigley is 54 years old.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. How old is Mamie Van Doren, by the way?
Mamie Van Doren?
Yeah.
Okay. I will look that up.
I'm just curious.
Mamie Van Doren, by the way, who was born Joan Lucille Olander.
Yeah, by the way, who still goes around town showing up at parties wearing her, quadruple D chest inside of, like, fishnet tops. And they don't stick out so much as hang down now, but what's her...
You should be wearing muumuus if you're 81 years old.
Oh, that's the best. Okay, anyway. We're getting into some movies now. Going to roll through these. A couple of new movies out that I don't know that I can really recommend either of them. One is Kill List, which is a British independent film by Ben Wheatley. This could have been so good, and a lot of people like this. A lot of people thought this was a really cool kind of low-budget psychological thriller horror thing, but it ultimately just completely disintegrates into cliches and stereotypes and all that junk that you've seen a million times before in Shelley Winters movies and like Wicker Man madness and all kinds of stuff. It's essentially about a hitman and his partner who take a very strange assignment that gets darker and darker and darker with all these people they're supposed to kill, and it winds up becoming just another one of those stupid, ridiculous kind of cult. It becomes the Wicker Man by the end, for crying out loud. It's just absurd.
Now,
is it
the Nicolas Cage Wicker Man?
It's it wishes the other Wicker Man. And then this thing, Assassin's Bullet. Now, Assassin's Bullet is a movie that was released theatrically 10 days ago, Mark. This was in theaters 10 days ago because I talked about this on Film Week 10 days ago.
So essentially, its theatrical release was a lost leader for the DVD and Blu-ray.
It's unbelievable. I talked about this 10 days ago.
Now,
this is ridiculous,
okay,
and it's now out on Blu-ray.
Wait,
this is a Blu-ray DVD combo pack. Yes.
Can I ask you something?
Yeah.
You're a movie theater.
Yes.
What makes you, as the booker at this movie theater, the person in charge of deciding what movies you think your audience, your constituents, your paying customers would want to see? What would make you think that they'd want to go see Assassin's Bullet?
I think the reason I would book it would be because somebody four-walled the theater. That's why.
Oh, really?
So,
you think
so
it's
you've made your
four-walled?
money. I think they're four-walled, yeah. So anyway, this is from Arc Entertainment. Look.
By the way, for those who don't know, four-walling means that essentially the distributor bought out the theater.
Yeah.
They rent the theater.
That's it. Look, I like Arc Entertainment. I wish I could say nicer things about this, but honestly, this is just an excuse for all these people to get a vacation to Bulgaria, which is where they shot this movie. Christian Slater plays a federal agent who's stationed in Bulgaria. Donald Sutherland plays the guy who runs the embassy, the ambassador or whatever. It's never really clear. I didn't pay attention. Timothy Spall is some psychologist who meets Christian Slater in strip clubs and lectures him on his life. And the woman who came up with the story is some Bulgarian actress named Elika Portnoy, and she's like somebody with a personality disorder who's, she splits herself three different ways, and sometimes she's an exotic dancer, and sometimes she's killing people wearing bad wigs left over from Brian De Palma movies. I don't really understand where any of this went. It makes no sense. It's just an ordeal to sit through. It's a horrible movie directed by Isaac Florentine, whose claim to fame is that he is the director of Undisputed 2 and Undisputed 3. At least that's what they would have you believe in the marketing that is printed on the box. The truth is, he has directed an awful lot of Power Rangers on television, and his style of directing has not evolved. I'm just saying that.
You got to start somewhere, Wade.
No, you don't start with Power Rangers.
You do if you got a mortgage to pay.
Well, a mortgage in Bulgaria, maybe. We got some stuff from the MGM library here, which we'll make mention of very quickly. I will let Mark focus on the Death Wish movies. I'm going to talk about the two Chuck Norris movies. The only reason I think these are being released right about now is to kind of try to get a little bit of traction out of the Expendables, since people are all focused on old action stars.
I hated that movie.
Chuck Norris is in the Expendables 2, along with Jean-Claude Van Damme, which I think is interesting move. Anyway, these two Chuck Norris movies, not among my favorites, but they do have a following. These are kind of when I think Chuck's movies started to wane a bit. Code of Silence, not great. This is almost when he's trying to become more of an action guy than a martial arts guy. I like Chuck Norris when he's doing flying kicks. And here he's a Chicago cop, and he's kind of rogue, and, you've got, what can I tell you? You've got Henry Silva in this, and when Henry Silva shows up, he's a bad guy because he has pockmarks. And Lone Wolf McQuade, it's campy enough to be a little bit entertaining. And the one thing about Lone Wolf McQuade is that it featured what was at the time a legendary mano-a-mano between David Carradine and Chuck Norris. And David Carradine, of course, not a martial artist, despite having started on Kung Fu, but still had a following. So for a lot of people, this was kind of like halfway towards a rematch between Chuck Norris and Bruce Lee. It's like, if you can't get Bruce Lee, if he's dead, let's get David Carradine. So there's a certain kitsch factor to this. Both of these are on Blu-ray. They are both very, very mediocre Blu-ray transfers, which means they're just a nick better than the DVD. But I can't say that they really look that good.
Wade, let's talk about Death Wish.
Oh, jeez.
Now, the original Death Wish,
which is not part of these,
which I like a lot, from 1974, is a terrific film. It's a film that came out again in 1974, back when New York was. In fact, I was living in New York at the time. That's when I was a kid. And my parents wouldn't let me go into the city because the city was a big, horrible, disgusting train wreck. And it was about to go bankrupt, and New York was an unbelievable porn-ridden cesspool. And that's why the movie worked at the time, and it was a big hit. Unfortunately, it spawned many sequels, all of which were equally terrible. The only thing in common, other than a basic storyline they had, was Charles Bronson and director Michael Winner. Michael Winner pretty much did all these Death Wish sequels. and which is too bad because Michael Winner, he did a couple good films. I mean, he did the original The Mechanic.
He did a few.
I like The Mechanic, the original Mechanic. I'll even I'll even give a shout out to Juan Tantan, the dog who saved Hollywood.
Oh yeah, baby.
That was Michael Winner. Anyway, all these Death Wish sequels are from Cannon. Now, Cannon was one of the late great low rent production companies of the 80s, and they were responsible for all those horrible, B-level action films. They all came from Cannon. And it would make a lot of sense that Cannon would be responsible for Death Wish 2, which came out in 1982. It's funny because at the end of Death Wish, Paul Kersey is driven out of New York and goes to Chicago.
That's right.
Now, of course, at the beginning of Death Wish 2. Now, all right, end of Death Wish, he's getting off the train in Chicago. Death Wish 2, he is suddenly in Los Angeles, probably because it's too expensive to shoot in Chicago. So he winds up in Los Angeles, where it's cheaper to shoot.
Gosh.
At least it was cheaper to shoot there in 1982. So essentially, it's the same story in Death Wish 2, and it's funny because in Death Wish 3, he goes back to New York, visit a buddy, and it's unbelievable. Unbelievable. His buddy is brutally attacked. Everywhere Paul Kersey goes, death follows.
Isn't that amazing?
You know what? If somebody said to me, if I was in a bar, at a restaurant, or at a party, and someone wants to introduce me to Paul Kersey, I'd run screaming. Because the moment you know Paul Kersey, you're dead. And Death Wish 3, which, Charles Bronson at this point had become much... Actually, Death Wish 4 was directed by J. Lee Thompson. But Death Wish 4, The Crackdown, at this point, Charles Bronson is just getting old, and all these movies have just become worse and worse and worse. This one is about rival drug gangs, yet it's no better. It's the same old thing, cleaning up the streets. And by Death Wish 4, the original Death Wish, which was a good film, has receded so far into the past. You don't. The whole franchise has basically been sullied.
Yeah.
By these horrible sequels.
Yeah.
So, of Death Wish 2, 3, and 4, I would buy none of them, and I would save your money for Death Wish, some eventual Death Wish Blu-ray. I think there'll be a Death Wish Blu-ray someday.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure.
I hope there will be, because the Death Wish is a good film.
It's a great film.
I mean, that film at least tried to be...
Not yet. I know. Not yet. I know. We're finishing. We're finishing talking.
If I rub this all over my body, will you give it to me? Because you won't want it back.
I don't think I'll ever want to know you again. Oh, that's really. That's a good thing. This is not a video show.
This is my favorite film of his.
We're still talking about The Expendables. You like Moonlight Kingdom? Well, we're not going to get
Oh, I love Moonrise Kingdom. It's so good.
We're still talking about The Expendables.
Moonrise Kingdom might be the best film I've seen this year. I mean, what better film have you seen this year?
Oh, I don't know.
Avengers?
I was going to say Battleship, John Carter. As long as we're on the week of The Expendables 2, the very smart people over at Lionsgate said, hey, let's capitalize on that. So they released a 3-film collector's set, Stallone, on Blu-ray, which includes Rambo First Blood, Copland, and Lockup. I don't know what possessed them to just throw these 3 films together, because they don't belong together. And if you're a Stallone fan, you probably go, First Blood, good movie. Copland, interesting, imperfect. Lockup, ew. And Lockup's a really bad movie. So why did they just throw it on here? I don't know. There's no rhyme or reason to this. But if you have Rambo First Blood, you ought to have the other Rambo films in there at least. It's just it's a strange trio of movies to put in. So anyway, Copland, of course, I think is probably the most interesting of any of them. Well directed by James Mangold. This was Stallone's attempt to be a serious actor again. Harvey Keitel and a bunch of other people.
I do like that film. I do like Copland, and I like Stallone in it.
Yeah, I do too. It's got some good stuff. It's one of the last decent performances Janine Garofalo gave. So anyway, so that's out there as well on Blu-ray. But most people already have Copland on Blu-ray or have Rambo First Blood on Blu-ray, which, by the way, is actually just called First Blood. It only got called Rambo First Blood when years after Rambo 2 came out. It was kind of like Star Wars Episode 4: A New Hope. No, it's Star Wars. We change these titles after the fact when sequels have obliged us to. Silly. Carry on. Now you may get orgasmic.
The Royal Tenenbaums is on Blu-ray, and you should buy it right now. In fact, stop listening to this podcast, press pause, Go to Amazon.com or wherever you buy your Blu-rays from and go buy this. I love this film, and again, as Wade was saying, I mean, this was my favorite, what's his name film?
Wes Anderson.
But I love Moonrise Kingdom so much. I just think that's a great film. It's such a terrific film. Anyway, this Blu-ray of Royal Tenenbaums looks fantastic. This is a Blu-ray transfer supervised by Anderson, and it's created in 2K, and it looks great. Lots of yellows and browns in this thing. Very clear, just a little bit of grain, but again, it was shot that way. I think it looks fantastic. Great lush colors. The soundtrack is the music is the audio is fine. 5.1, looking good. DTS, like that too. There's a whole bunch of special features on this thing, including interviews, deleted scenes. There's a scrapbook thing. There's behind the scenes with the filmmaker. There's a couple trailers. There's a commentary with Anderson that was recorded for the original Criterion in 2002. And I think this thing is great. I love this film. This is, of course, stars. It's got a great cast: Ben Stiller, Gene Hackman, my all-time favorite actor, and one of those Will Wilson kids who I can't keep track of them. And Gwyneth Paltrow, Danny Glover, Bill Murray's in this, of course. And I just love this movie. I love this Blu-ray. Go buy it right now.
No. Stop. Just seriously.
I want to look at it. Can I look at it? Can I stare at it?
Oh my God.
You watch. They only sent one, so you looked at it, and I didn't look at it.
I know.
Oh, Wade. Jaws.
I know. I kept a few of these back from you, so you're there's another one coming.
You know what's amazing about Jaws is that
I'm escalating this. I'm doing this on purpose to torment you.
I don't know, man. You know, the thing with Jaws.
You have no idea.
Really?
You have no idea what's coming next.
Now, here's the thing with Jaws is that Jaws.
This is finally on Blu-ray, by the way. This is what Mark is flipping out. I pulled out the Jaws, the Universal 100th Anniversary Series release. It's now on Blu-ray, and it's gorgeous, man.
You know,
it is really gorgeous. They a lot of these Universal 100th Anniversary releases.
These are good.
Some of them are, and some of them aren't. Most of them they're doing a good job with, but there are a few where they just kind of pooped it out again, and it's already been on Blu-ray, and they just wanted to rebrand it with the 100th Anniversary logo, and so it's like they didn't really put an effort into it. They just figured we're just going to try and juice a few more sales out of the new logo. But in this case, they really, really went to town. Very, very nice.
Well, first of all,
very nice.
Jaws, again, it's an older film. It's from 1975. It's considered to have started the blockbuster era, blah, blah, blah. But the thing about the story of Jaws tends to get wrapped up into that. But the one thing you have to remember about Jaws is that it is an effing great movie.
Oh, it is.
It is a great movie.
But we have to also remember the first cut of this movie was presumably a disaster, and it took Verna Fields coming in to save Spielberg's butt and essentially launch him onto the career that he has had ever since. And Verna Fields was, that's an amazing editor to walk in and look at a film that is just a complete disaster. Everyone's going to lose their shirt. Careers are going to be murdered. Money will be the studio is going to lose millions of dollars. And this one woman walks in, looks at the footage, and says, "Yeah, I can make this work," and it becomes the most successful film in history. And literally launches the blockbuster era. I mean, we can give Spielberg a lot of credit because it does have good performances and some great moments and so forth. But by all accounts, this movie was not working until Verna Fields sat down in the editing room and took scissors to it and made it what it is.
Verna Fields and John Williams were the two elements that put this thing way over the top.
Yep.
And the great thing about the Blu-ray is that the Blu-ray, the Jaws would be worth watching anyway and worth buying now, this moment, on Blu-ray. But one of the Blu-ray exclusives is The Shark is Still Working. Now, The Shark is Still Working is a great, it's newish, it's definitely new to Blu-ray, documentary about the making of the film.
Yep.
And it is warts and all because Jaws had as Wade alluded to a little bit, Jaws has a very, very, very famous, had a very famous torturous birth. The shooting of it was a disaster. Robert Shaw was drunk all the time. The shark never worked. All that sort of stuff. And it's a great documentary, The Shark is Still Working, that I'm very glad they finally managed to get onto a DVD, or in this case a Blu-ray. Very much like Hearts of Darkness is a great documentary about Apocalypse Now that finally wound up on the Apocalypse Now Blu-ray, I believe. Didn't it?
Yes, I think so.
It is, right? Isn't Hearts of Darkness on the Apocalypse Now Blu-ray?
I think it is.
Anyway, so this thing is a must-buy, a must buy.
Back in 2007, in the early days...
What's the other film I'm going to get all orgasmic about?
I'm getting there. Back in 2007, the early days of Blu-ray, Almost 5 years ago, Mark, there was a release to Blu-ray. It made a lot of people happy, but it wasn't a perfect Blu-ray. And they have redone
Escape
it
from
now.
New York?
No. We now have a spanking new, beautiful, fantastic Digipacky Blu-ray book version of Full Metal Jacket.
Wow.
Yeah, baby.
Wait a second.
Oh, yeah.
How'd that happen?
I don't know how that happened, but it comes with a 40-page book, the usual Blu-ray book thing. It's thicker than most of these Warner Blu-ray book deals, and I gotta tell you, this is a totally new, digital, brand spanking, fantastic release of Full Metal Jacket that is it will redefine this movie for you. It is gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. The sound, fantastic. All of those songs, the sound in this movie. In fact, if you watch this in 5.1 or 7.1, it will blow you away. You just don't realize until you watch it in the home environment how intensely well thought the mix of this film is. It's really extraordinary, absolutely incredible. Commentary here that includes, a lot of people who it's basically the same one that you had before. Featurette of Full Metal Jacket, Between Good and Evil. And on the commentary, of course, Adam Baldwin, Vincent D'Onofrio, Arlie Ermey, Jay Cox, who's a screenwriter and a film critic. And, you have the 1-hour documentary, Stanley Kubrick's Boxes. It is, and photos, actually. Matthew Modine wrote his Full Metal Jacket Diaries book not long ago and has made some of the photos from his private collection available on this as well. So, but ultimately, you're not getting this for the extras. You're getting this for the picture and for the sound and for the just raw, brilliant, genius Kubrickness of it. It is just not to be believed how good this is. Go and get your, and 2 discs, by the way. Go and take your previous Blu-ray, sell it back, hawk it, use it for clay pigeons, whatever, but you got to get the brand new Full Metal Jacket. It is gorgeous and spanking fantastic. We've also got a quartet of films here from the Paramount library that are being released by Olive, and I'll go through these real quickly because we do want to have some time for our final Vox Box. But both of these have, here's what's common on these. Abraham Polanski wrote both of them, directed one of them, and they both feature John Garfield, a forgotten but really good kind of tough guy, noirish actor who was really a big star in his day, and I don't know why his popularity is not sort of sustained. The first one is Body and Soul, which was written by Polanski, of course one of the great blacklisted writers of all time, and directed by Robert Rossen, the great Robert Rossen, the hustler, Rossen just knew how to make great hard-boiled movies, and this is from 1947. Feels kind of like a 1950s film. It's really, really great, boxing plot with Garfield as a prize fighter, and all of the nasty stuff that goes along with that. Incredible photography by James Wong Howe, one of the great cinematographers of all time. The other film is John Garfield in Force of Evil, which Polanski wrote and directed, or rather co-wrote and directed. And, this actually shows you much more the range that Garfield had. This is just one of those really, really cool film noirs that has been so influential in the years since. And Garfield is, an attorney who is a little bit tainted, and he's been hooked up with a racketeer and these numbers runners, and things just go wrong, and all of those fantastic elements of noir show up here. You got Marie Windsor, who's just a terrific femme fatale. It's a really, really sharp film, and this was made the following year, 1948, so those are cool. And then 2 others from this same Olive release is John Ford's Rio Grande with John Wayne and Maureen O'Hara. Always a wonderful pairing. Love them both. This includes The Making of Rio Grande, hosted by our good friend Leonard Maltin, who is we were in the elevator with just the other day, weren't we? Or were you with me? No, I was with him. You weren't. This was originally from the Republic Library, of course, wound up with Paramount, and now is getting released by Olive since nobody else seems to actually have any faith in this. But this is one of those great John Ford, John Wayne movies. In this case, the Wayne is leading the cavalry over to the Rio Grande to, take out them damn redskin Injuns. Not politically correct in the least, but it's just so well made. And then lastly, we got Joan Crawford in a Nicholas Ray film. Nicholas Ray is such an underrated director, by the way. Rebel Without a Cause and King of Kings. He just never really got his due. Made some great films, but nobody kind of considers him an auteur in the way that they should. But this is Joan Crawford in Johnny Guitar, which has an unbelievable cast. I always forget how amazing some of these casts were, because so many of these people would go on to bigger careers after they make these movies, and some of these people were sort of on the tail end of their careers when they made the movie. This is 1954, so Joan Crawford is sort of on the tail end of her career, or at least getting close. Sterling Hayden, kind of just getting rolling. Mercedes McCambridge, Ben Cooper, Ernest Borgnine, John Carradine on the tail end of his. I mean, that's an amazing bunch of people in one movie, and this is really a pretty great vehicle for Joan Crawford. She wasn't really known as a Western icon. She was more of a noir icon, but this is an unusual role for her, and she handles it really nicely. And Sterling Hayden is just great, really, really good. So, I've mentioned before, my mother was almost Sterling Hayden's nanny. Haven't I mentioned that?
Wait, your mother was almost Sterling Hayden?
Thank you very much. Thank you. You do that. Do that.
Wait, you know what? Some people love Star Wars. Right?
Yes, some people do, and some people love Mel Brooks.
Some people love Darth Vader. Other people love Dark Helmet.
Oh.
Some people love Princess Leia. Other people, Princess Vespa.
Yeah.
Now, there's some people out there who love Chewbacca. Other people love Barf. I'm just saying. Some people love Han Solo. There are others who love Lone Star. It's played by Bill Pullman in Spaceballs. Yes. It's unbelievable. 25th anniversary of Spaceballs. This is kind of the last decent Mel Brooks comedy.
Kinda.
I mean, the Robin Hood thing, that wasn't very funny. But anyway, so this DVD is quite nice looking, I guess.
Well,
there's a bunch of special features on it if you're into that.
I don't think this is a different transfer. I mean, this seems to be basically the same deal that I have in the complete Mel Brooks Blu-ray set.
Well, that's the thing.
It's just they're just one-offing it. So
if you have
the set, I don't know any reason to upgrade to this.
I mean, this has come out on Blu-ray before, and obviously this is the 25th anniversary special. So this supposedly, the last version didn't have a lot of great extras. This one has a lot better extras on it. But I will say that, if you do want to own this, you're probably better off just buying that super big Mel Brooks Blu-ray box set, which is great.
Which is great.
Because there really was no reason to remaster this.
No.
But there are some, look, there's a commentary track, there's a featurette on the late John Candy, which is great. There's a cool thing called the exhibitor trailer, which Mel Brooks had used to sort of sell the film to theater owners. That I kind of liked. There's a documentary on the making of the film. But in the end, I think really you're probably better off with either one of the original ones or with the box set. But it's,
sure.
It's a good-looking transfer. There's nothing wrong with this transfer. Comedies, generally speaking, are not that well shot. I mean, they're well shot, but comedies, generally speaking, are really not known for for Blu-ray greatness. But this one looks good. It's a 1080p transfer, so it looks nice. So it's a good looking movie. But in the end, either you're laughing or you're not. I think the film is funny. It's the last decent film Mel Brooks did. It's available elsewhere on Blu-ray. If you love the film, go for this because of the extras. If not, just stick with what you have.
All right, Mark. It's you know what it's time for.
Well, do I sing the song?
Go ahead, sing the song.
Hey Mark and Wade, this is Kyle from Philadelphia. My question this week is, why is it that upscale hotels have on-demand videos that contain movies that are either still in the theater or that aren't in the theater but haven't been released on Blu-ray or DVD yet? Also, are there any services that are available to the home consumer that are like this? If not, why? And do you ever see a time when I'll be able to watch a movie at home on demand, day and date that it's released in the theater? I would gladly pay $25 or even $30 just to be able to watch a new release at home on my own theater.
Great question from Kyle Stevens. Here's the short answer to that. The reason is because hotels desperately want to be able to advertise things that make them special, and they pay a lot of money to have an exclusive right to certain films, to certain companies, and to have a window within which they can do that. It makes people, when they travel, think, oh, wow, I'm going to go to that hotel because then I'll be able to catch that movie and not leave the hotel. So it draws you to the hotel. So those services are not made available at home because, the hotels pay a huge amount. And because if they were available at home, it would really, really crimp the business of the theaters. The theaters are willing to let the hotels slack because it's not, monetarily, it doesn't draw a lot from the theaters, but it means a lot to the hotels.
Well, the thing is that if you're at a hotel, that means you're on vacation.
Yes.
If you're on vacation, you're probably not going to see a movie.
Right.
Right, because you're on vacation, you're going to go to Disneyland or wherever.
Yeah.
So it's not like the theaters feel like they're losing a lot of money.
Yeah.
So the money they make up for by the fact that the hotel
Sure.
pays for the right to be part of the second window.
Yes.
Now, the way films are released and the way they go through the system is it's like a window system.
Yeah.
First window would be the movie theater. Second window is like, pay-per-view and smaller theaters. Third run might be cable.
Yeah.
Fourth window might be a DVD. Fifth window might be broadcast, whatever it is. So the studios get something out of it because they get a lot of money from the hotels, and the hotels are catering to people who wouldn't see the movie anyway because they're on vacation and staying at a hotel.
Yeah, and as far as getting a service like that at home for $25 or whatever, a lot of people want to do that. This is the whole idea behind premium VOD, and
by the way, has disappeared.
Which it has disappeared, but there are still a lot of movies that show up VOD before they show up in theaters now. I mean, there are a lot of Magnolia films have done that. A lot of IFC films have been doing that, and it's a model that I think is here to stay for certain films. But the pressure from the theaters is just not going to let that happen because theaters don't want to go out of business, and they do have a lot of leverage with the studios. The theaters can really exert an enormous amount of pressure because their split of the movies has decreased, and the amount of time that movies stay in theaters has decreased. So they're not really getting their money's worth anymore. So we're going to continue to see that battle evolve, but I don't think it's going to become a widespread phenomenon that you can see any movie that's in theaters at home on the same day and date that it opens in theaters. That I don't see happening for everything. It'll happen for some, but not for everything.
Like Avengers 2. Avengers 2,
yeah.
When it comes out in like 2015
it'll be
something?
like $3 to watch at home the day before it opens in theaters. Yeah, we wish. All right, with that, we are done. We will see you guys next week. We'll have a lot more fun to go, and hopefully with the Olympics out of the way, we can people will start releasing like real movies again, start getting some big titles out there.
Jaws, not a bit. Royal Tenenbaums, Full Metal Jacket.
They are catalog releases, new movies. We need the new stuff.
Movies? What are movies?
I don't know.